I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Peabody City Council. City Council will convene on Thursday, May 13th, 2021, to hold a regular meeting at 7:30 for the purpose of discussing any and all business, including both in-person participation and remote participation, in accordance with Chapter 48 of the Massachusetts General Laws and Governor Baker's emergency order dated March 12, 2020. Real-time public comment during public hearings can be addressed to the Peabody City Council using the Zoom video and teleconferencing for remote access. Users may view the meeting and make a comment or question to the chair via the audio option. This meeting is being televised live by Peabody Access Television on Comcast Channel 9 and on RCN Channels 15, 614, 1161, as well as being recorded by our City Council stenographer. Let us all rise for a moment of silence. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You've heard the motion by Councilor Gould. On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. And before we begin the hearing portions of our agenda, I just want to take a quick moment and remind everyone of the rules we put in place at our last meeting to try and keep everyone as safe as possible. These small items are face masks must be worn by all attendees at all times. Social distancing, 6 feet physical distance between attendees should be maintained. This applies also to your seating arrangements. Members of the public here this evening who choose to speak during public participation portion of a hearing should use the cleaning cloths provided to wipe down the microphone. Thank you for your cooperation. We'll now move to hearing 4A. Councilor Matsoulis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Under suspension of the rules, I'd like to receive a late communication from Attorney Kelty. I'd like to make a motion to receive and honor his request to continue till the date of May 27, 2021. So moved, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. We'll now move to hearing 4B. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 8B and refer to this matter. So moved.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive late communication 1, which is a request for continuance to May 27th and continue the matter in accordance with the request. So moved.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote.
Thank you, Mr. President.
We'll now move to hearing 4C, which is a special permit request from Bosun's Asset and Operations Limited Liability Company doing business as Bosun's Marine. This meeting was recessed from April 8th, 2020. Looks like we have Attorney Kelty here. Could you please state your name and address for the record?
Thank you, councilors. My name is John Kelty. I'm an attorney. I have offices at 40 Lowell Street here in Peabody. And I appear this evening on behalf of Bosun Marine. They are seeking a special permit in order to be able to expand their premises, which is currently at 205 Newbury Street. And they want to expand the sale of boats onto 203 Newbury Street, which is essentially the parking lot of the former Sea Witch restaurant. The restaurant declined to reopen. Mr. Leadham, who is here this evening with me, is the principal at Bosun Marine, and he had decided that he would expand his business onto the property at 203 Newbury Street. And when we were here at the last meeting, a question arose as to whether we should be before the Conservation Commission. And yes, we have indeed filed with the Conservation Commission a request for determination of activity. Essentially, our activity, there is no construction, there is no expansion of any existing building. We are simply utilizing the parking lot that was formerly the parking area for some 60-odd cars, and we're going to utilize it for our boats that are for sale on the premise by Bosun Marine. There will be no repairs that take place on the premises. None of the boats that would be on the premises at 203 will have fuel in them, so that there's no risk of a leak or any such thing into the wetlands that are behind both the Sea Witch and the existing Bosun Marine. We have received the comments from the Community Development Department, and we have agreed that those are appropriate conditions, that all loading, unloading of any kind of seaworthy vehicles be on the premises and not on the highway. And we're pleased to observe all of the suggestions that were made by the Community Development Department, and we're asking for the support of the City Council to allow this business to go forth and expand and continue to be good citizens here with the City of Peabody. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Kelty. Are there any members of the general public who'd like to speak in favor of this application? Are there any members of the general public who would like to speak in opposition of this application? I see no one on the Zoom application nor in person. Councilor Sasslaw?
Thank you, Council President. Under suspension of rules, I'd like to make a motion to receive late communication 3.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Sasslaw.
Thank you. So, late communication 3 was the actual request for determination of applicability. I have had the opportunity to review it and comfortable that they are in compliance. I do know that the Conservation Commission has not had the chance to review it. The Conservation Commissioner, Lucia Del Negro, was not available today. I will be approving this with the one caveat that is contingent upon the Conservation Commission agreeing with the request for determination of applicability, which I am comfortable that they will. In addition, as Council has stated, on behalf of the petitioner, they agreed to the request for the unloading and loading of boats, and that's in item 8F from a previous meeting, the comments from the Community Development and Planning Department. So that will also be part of the conditions. And I'm just happy to see them that, it's great to see business expanding. It's not an easy environment these days, but I'm happy. I had the opportunity to speak to Mr. Chase earlier today, and I saw Mr. Leedham tonight. And I just want to thank you for continuing to have your business in Peabody and grow it. And with the nice weather that we're having, hopefully that'll help to some additional boat sales. And I also want to commend you. I know you had a situation where you had to move boats rather quickly. You did. I appreciate that. And now with the additional space, I'm very confident that you'll take advantage of that and have a nice showroom. And once again, more people come to Peabody and spend money on boats. So I'm going to, I plan on supporting this. And at this point, I'd like to open up to my fellow councilors for any further questions they may have.
Thank you, Councilor Sasslaw. Any comments from fellow councilors? I just have a point of order, Councilor Sasslaw. I know you mentioned that we're waiting for the Conservation Commission to respond. I'm just concerned from process that Rule 17 requires a response from all departments. And at this point in time, I would just say that I'd be uncomfortable going forward without having that determination and approval so we can tie everything up and prevent any issues. I want to make sure that we have all special permits and hearings treated in the same manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President. And I'm familiar with that. I guess I'm getting a little bit, and I'd like to hear from other councilors. So we had a special permit a few weeks ago for Al Yeba for the drive-through, and in that packet, we didn't have a sign-off from the police department or the fire department, and I made that special permit contingent upon getting approval from them, which we had at the next meeting. And I understand your point. My concern is about, slowing down the process. Mr. Leadham's here tonight. I don't believe he's from the area, and I'm comfortable with making it a part of the condition. I know what that was put in maybe a couple of years ago. I think there's been some questions about, is that going to slow down business? I think this is a circumstance where it does. I'm not quite sure what the difference is between what we did a few weeks ago and what I'm trying to do tonight. And I'm looking for guidance because I hear what you're saying. I'm just concerned that, if we make it a part of the condition, the council will let his client know that, listen, we're waiting for one, it hasn't been fully approved, we're waiting for Concom. As I said, I reached out to them. It was a late communication. I did the best I could. I reached out to Lucia, got a returned email. I'm not here today, I'm not here tomorrow. So I didn't know. I was faced with this today, and as I said, I'm looking for any type of guidance from other councils who'd like to interject on the floor at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Sasla. Would anyone like to speak? Councilor McGinn, and then Councilor Turco, and then Councilor Melville.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to Councilor Sasla. I do see a distinction between the two examples because in the case of the drive-through, those were departmental responses, not permits or authorizations. So, in the case of a departmental response, the departments are kind of providing their advice to us. And, there are times we get them, there's times we don't. And I know that we like to have them. We rely on that information from the departments, but it's not like a governmental approval or a permit. It's advice that we consider. So just and I think that the rule is pretty clear. It says no application for a license or permit shall be entertained by the council until all other permits and approvals required to be obtained from other governmental entities have been obtained and the applicant so certifies to the council. So that's the distinction I see. I think you were looking for feedback on that, and that's the way that's my read. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor McGinn. Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Council President. I'm on the same line as Peter, Council Sasla. I think you did the exact right thing with your prior permit with the fire department not responding on the departmental response. I realize that some of these requirements to go to the city boards can be lengthy, expensive, without a guarantee that when they get to us, they may not get what they asked for after going to all those boards. I get that, but my reluctance, the rule's been around for a long time. I don't think it's been a few years. I think it's long before that. Maybe somebody with some seniority can expound forever, Councilor Manning stated. So it's nothing new. We've just wavered from it at times, and I think it's a bad habit to get into. I think Councilor Welton and I just recently met with two different companies, major projects, in the city of Peabody, that would like us to not to waiver from Rule 17. If we do it for them, and we don't do it for the mom and pop neighborhood store or the beauty salon, or vice versa, it's just, I think we need to be consistent with it. I completely agree with you. It's terrible that this gentleman is here from out of town and came here, but he needs to wait for the approval from conservation, and I would just, for you, for your benefit, for my benefit, for everybody's benefit, that we just stand strong and require everything to be the same from everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Turco. Council Melville.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. You know, I think it's, as Councilor McGinn had kind of, he actually read the specific rule. You know, I'm one of these, as a regulator myself, I always am very sensitive to the fact that businesses are going through a very extensive process. My personal view is that the conditioning of it is the best way to do this. It ensures that the flexibility for both these other boards, because every time they continue something, or if they have to delay a meeting, or if there's another issue, we're adding, I mean, there's an interminable amount of time added on these. If these conditions are put in place to require the approval of those specific boards, in my opinion, it's fulfilling our obligation. A lot of this is also in the email back and forth between Lucia and the applicant. It references that there's also a discussion of jurisdiction and who's in what. Do you even need to do anything? Because you're not building anything in a buffer zone, you're putting something in. So as much as I wish it was black and white, I have a hard time believing that it is, because this is not a, these are voluntary boards. These commissions are folks that show up, do the best they can, and there's timelines for a lot of this. So I would caution us, just knowing that if we are going to follow this to the T, and that's up to the council, our application process could be substantially longer depending on that particular location. We absolutely can pick and choose, because we can condition things. We have that opportunity. There's nothing that says you can't. We're not the Supreme Court. There's no precedent setting here. If we do a bad job, we get voted out and somebody else comes in. So that's my view on this. I think that this is a unique situation, just like the issue that was at the last property was a unique situation. And I feel comfortable voting on it with the condition put in place. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Melville. Any other councilors? Councilor Welton, and then Councilor, Manning Martin, and then Councilor Charest.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I just want to follow up Councilor McGinn and Councilor Turco's comments. I certainly understand, too, Councilor Melville, this is a unique situation in that it doesn't seem like it's going to be that big of an issue potentially for Conservation Commission to approve this potentially. But my hesitancy, as Councilor Turco had mentioned, is we are going to have some pretty large projects that are coming up, and I think it's incumbent upon us to come up with a procedure and a policy where we agree as a body to adhere to, so it is more black and white. And if that is inconvenient, and I apologize to the petitioner, I think it's wonderful that he's trying to expand his business, and I want to see that happen as soon as possible for him. But I do think it's important for us to do the best that we can to have a pretty strict interpretation of what that means and how we abide by Rule 17, because it's not always going to be the mom and pop stores, and it's not always going to be the feel-good local story where we want to expand a business. Some of these projects might be pretty significant and robust, and we're going to need to make sure that we have it right and we're doing it consistently. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Welton. Councilor Manning Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would concur with Councilor Melville on this, that the council historically has used its discretion on Rule 17, and each special permit is to be reviewed individually, not compared to one another. All taken individually. They get their own hearing, their own review. So I disagree that we're putting ourselves in a precarious position where we're treating one differently than another. That's the special permit process. I think that this can be handled with a condition, with the approval of Conservation Commission, and without it, they don't get it. But I do want to caution Councilor Sasslaw that if you don't have the votes for this evening and it fails, then it's a problem, because then these folks won't be able to resolve this for, is it a year? For 1 year, or is it 2 years? For 2 years, we'll be jamming these folks up. And I don't think that that is anybody's intention. I definitely don't. But I just want to remind the council is that we are here elected to use our discretion. And we've been doing it for years. And again, I have to emphasize that each special permit, the process is that they are separate and distinct, and one does not compare to the other. And people can't come forward to us and say, well, you're treating me differently. It's a separate and distinct special permit that's reviewed by 11 people, and it needs 8 votes. But I do want to caution you, Council Sassler, if you do not have the votes, I would tell you not to move forward, because if councils are going to stick their heels in and not wiggle on this one, then this gentleman and this business is going to be gravely hurt. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Councilor Schwartz?
Thank you, Council President. I had a couple questions. Has this been in the works for several months now, through the President of Council Sassler? Am I correct on this? How long has this been in the works of getting permit?
I mean, I think everything's been a couple of months because of the way we're working these days. But to answer your question, I think it's probably been about a couple of months. Yeah, about a couple of months.
Yeah, that was my question. Is this? I think it's been an ongoing.
I'm sorry. February 23rd was my filing date.
Sure. Okay. And that's a good period of time. And one of the issues I have with this and using the condition of approval of departments until, if say a week or 2 weeks like we did in the past, this is no fault of his. I think he's been doing what he's been trying to do. Unfortunately, because of COVID and everything else, we may have, unfortunately, sign-offs not come to us on a speedy time. And when you say a person's not going to be in today or not tomorrow, this is probably his prime time of doing business, I have to imagine. So I do appreciate 17 and the wording, but if it showed that the petitioner wasn't doing his due diligence in getting the information, yeah. But I do have a hard time holding up the petitioner on this because of our department wasn't able to sign off on, and I'm not sure the reason why. Maybe they're still looking into it. But my question is to the President: if we do set a condition that he gets the permit, but with sign off within a couple of weeks, and there's a problem in getting that sign off in a couple of weeks, is that a denial? I asked my colleagues, would that be a denial? Because I don't want that, Councilor, any councilors.
I just guess, Councilor Stress, I don't know if we put in a certain situation, we put a time frame on it. If we put a condition on a special permit, my opinion would be that it would just be subject to such and such. And I don't think we'd, just because of the world we live in, just to say it has to be by a date. But that's just my own first opinion. So I'll open up to council. Any other councilors want to?
I concur with you, Councilor O'Neill.
Okay, thank you. That's, again, my question is that I'm sure he wants to get going, and if there's been since February, and it doesn't seem that there was much here that maybe ComCon has an issue with. I think if they did, I think we would have been notified, but that's just my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Schwartz. Councilor Turco.
Thank you. I wanted to mention that the reason why this came to, I want to say came to light or became more of an issue for us, it dawned on me that this was during the 42 Endicott Street projects where we had nothing presented, that we were going to approve the project, and I think we did with contingencies that they get approval at the end. And for for some reason, that was an issue with that. And I get it's held separately. I agree with all of you. Each project is held separately. But at the end of that meeting, I was the one that filed the motion to ask the city clerk to actually put that on the applications and notify people of Rule 17, and we voted unanimously to do that. So now we've put the clerk in a bad situation for the better part of a year. She has put that on applications and told numerous petitioners, if I'm not mistaken, that you cannot go forward to the Peabody City Council until you go through all these commissions and get your approvals. Listen, I feel terrible. I think it's a tough way to do business. It certainly is. If the council wants to look at removing Rule 17, so be it. Let's talk about it. But the rule exists. We voted to enforce the rule and place it on permit applications for the better part of a year now. And it will come up that you let Bosun's Marine do this, but you're not going to let, you won't give a contingency to Amazon. So this will come up. But just my opinion, again, feel terrible about it. I would never intentionally hurt this gentleman. I'll tell you right now, if the council Council Sasslaw decides to move forward, I won't risk this man losing his ability to do business during the busy season. I will vote yes if you decide to move forward on it. I'm just expressing my opinion about Rule 17.
Thank you, Councilor Turco. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a point of information, because there was some dates thrown out, which I think are inaccurate from the applicant. I'm looking at the application was stamped by the clerk on March 19th, and it was received by the council on March 25th. So those are the dates that I believe are correct for the record. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor McGinn. Councilor Rosagno.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was just going to echo Councilor Turco's sentiment. Before the Endicott project, we were working on a case-by-case basis, and it started to get a little bit contentious, or at least there was a disagreement as far as how we move forward. Councilor Turco, to his point, made the motion to make sure that any applicant that came before us had everything in order before it was brought to us. The council passed that unanimously. I think to go back on that is a little disingenuous as far as what we did just 4 or 5 months ago. I completely agree with the sentiment of the entire council. I completely and utterly feel bad for this gentleman. I want him to succeed. I want him to be to expand his business. I just don't. I don't like that we not only have the rule, but we, as a board, voted to even make sure that we're following the rule, and then at the first chance, we're not going to follow the rule that we emphasized. So that's my quandary. Do I feel bad for this gentleman? 100%. Do I want him to succeed? 100%. Me personally, it just looks like we're trying to dig our heels in the sand and making sure that we're doing things right by even emphasizing Rule 17, and then we're going back on it on the first chance. I just don't like the way that is being presented. Thank you.
Councilor Manning Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I hear you, and I respect your point of view. I just want to remind the council, too, that we vote to suspend the rules all the time. Just tonight, we suspended the rules to receive 3 late communications. Last meeting, we had about 10 late communications, and we accepted 9 out of the 10. And I invoked, not to suspend the rules on 1. So I just want to remind you all, we have flexibility, we have discretion, and Rule 17 has been around since the beginning of time. And we've used our discretion around it. If it became a contentious meeting at 4042 Endicott Street, it was a contentious meeting. Issues come up, we disagree, we make motions reflective of an incident or disagreements or agreements. But today's a new day, and maybe we move on from that. Rule 17 is not new. Because we voted to put it on the special permit, moving forward, didn't make it new. It just, I get it. But the end result is that this gentleman is really going to be hurt badly. When we have the flexibility and the discretion to do the right thing, put a condition on that it's met. Concom needs to be satisfied, and we can move forward. We have the discretion. It's within our power. It's our we are the legislative body, so we can do this, and I think we should do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Martin. Councilor Gould.
Thank you, Mr. President. In my 10 years of being on the council, I've seen Rule 17 go, honestly, with Councilor Manning also a little more time than it's gone every which way, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I side with Councilor Turco in the sense that I want us to stick to our guns on this, but I'm not going to hold up this gentleman's permit. And we need to discuss, maybe we discuss it in legal affairs, what Rule 17 does to us as a body and decide how we're going to use it. But I will vote in favor of this gentleman receiving his permit contingent upon the Conservation Commission. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Gould. Councilor Welton.
Thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity to speak again. I just want to have some clarity. I will not support suspending Rule 17 this evening or going forward, and it has nothing to do with the business that's before us. I wish him all of the success. I just want to let it be known and clarify in terms of knowing where the support is this evening if Councilor Sasslaw chooses to go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other councilors? Councilor Mitsoulas and then Councilor Rossignol.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've heard both sides, and I could go either way. But I'm looking at us as a city council. I'm looking at all the councilors at large, the ward councilors, and their responsibilities. And as a ward councilor, and there's 6 of us here, I know that the finger is pointed at us at every meeting that we have when it comes to the decision that we have to make. It's a very responsible decision. We're the ones that the rest of the council is going to follow. I've heard both sides this evening, and the way I feel, I don't want to see this gentleman hurt in any way. And I believe that can happen this evening. And I also believe that the ward councilor is very responsible and knows, and I'm talking about every city councilor, they know their ward and they know what the results are going to be. And I'm certainly not going to hold this issue up over, hold my vote up over the issue that we're talking about this evening. Because eventually Councilor Sasslaw is going to get what he wants. And I'm almost positive of it. And just so you can be able to count the votes here, I'm with you on this one. So moved, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Mitsoulas. Councilor Rossignol.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm in line with what Councilor Gould has said. I will be voting for this if Councilor Sasslaw, you decide to go forward. Not because of Rule 17, but because the petitioner did everything he was supposed to. I think that's where the rubber meets the road, at least in my opinion. If you look at, we as a body are trying to get as much information as possible. The petitioner's job, responsibility is to go through the people that know more than us, the police, the fire, the Conservation Commission, and he's done his due diligence going through all of the bodies that we look for input. The one that has been lax is conservation. We do have a document stating what they were looking for, so we're really just waiting for an answer. It's not like the petitioner did not go to Concom, and I think that's the delineation that at least I am making in my own mind regarding Rule 17, is the petitioner is making the attempts to do everything that we as a city has asked of him. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Rosenthal. Any other councilors like to speak? I just want to comment. I raised Rule 17 not to be just about the process. I was uncomfortable a few hearings ago where we had some conditions added after basically approving. That's why I voted against that particular special permit. I raised it because in this particular situation, the correspondence we have regarding Conservation Commission. Now, when I look at the application, I see some of the dialogue on this this particular permit request. It's there's been a lot of good dialogue back and forth, but I just want to clarify. The reason why I'm concerned is because I could probably look at this and say, I don't think there's an issue. I've heard Attorney Kelty's, or read Attorney Kelty's comments about may not apply or whatnot, but I'm not a conservation specialist or knowledgeable about it. So we use, I could be reading this wrong, and I guess we could have conditions, have them approved, but I think it's important for context and why I raised it. In this situation on Thursday, April 8th, Lucia Del Negro addressed Councilor Saslaw, Attorney Kelty regarding this measure, believing that it was still in the buffer zone, and specifically requested to just, finalize it and determine it and have an RDA application. Application was submitted Tuesday, May 11th. So I just want to be clear, this isn't our boards holding things up. This is a can be difficult from a business standpoint, permitting. I get that. I just don't want to err on the side of I think we're okay in this one. It does matter how we do the process when we have special permits. And yes, to a certain councilor's comments, we've had a lot of good dialogue on this topic. I just want to make sure that we're approaching people in the same manner. We can't change the rules that are important just arbitrarily, in my opinion. So I can't support this because I think there's been enough time to get this processed and determined by Conservation Commission. Whether she's out for a day or two, doesn't matter. The application came Tuesday. There's time to get this done once and for all, and we move forward. But I cannot support it based on that comment about not having time to get an answer from Conservation Commission. Thank you. Councilor Saslaw.
Thank you, Council President. I don't know, you just said you can't support it based upon not getting time from Conservation Commission. I don't know who said that, but, and for the record, it was Friday, May 7th, not Tuesday. But I'm with you on this, and let me explain to you why I'm with you on this. I just want to correct, you said Tuesday, May 7th a couple times. It was Friday, May 7th. To Attorney Kelty.
Point of order, the application was Tuesday, May 11th, if I misspoke.
I'm talking about the most important, the document, I'm talking about the request for determination of applicability, excuse me.
So I just have the late communication 3, but either way, it was May 11th is what I stated. Thank you.
If I could make my point is that Attorney Kelty, I assume you got this on Tuesday, May 7th. I think we even had some discussion upon that. Excuse me, Friday, May 7th, you got it. I think, a little bit of the error was if the late communication got in first thing Monday morning to the city clerk, we got it. I quite frankly probably would have acted on it. I only got it today. I got it this afternoon. So, I'm doing as much as I can do in that regard. So I think, hopefully in the future, when you get it, we don't wait until the day of. As a point of order, I just want to ask the city clerk, when I was referencing Rule 17 earlier, it was just 4 or 5 months ago. As Councilor Turco pointed out, what I had meant is that we had that vote just about 4 or 5 months ago, but being on the council for 7 years, it's always been there, but we did make that formal vote, and I acknowledge that. It's just everyone keeps saying it's on the special permit application. Under J, I've just heard, because I was looking for that, and I want to make sure that I understand that and everyone sees. It's under J, thank you. City Council President, in deference to the petition, I'd like to ask for a 2-minute recess, please.
Sure thing.
Thank you.
We'll take a 2-minute recess. We just have to hold on. We're now back in session. Council Sasslaw.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to make a motion to continue the public hearing 2 weeks from tonight. So move.
On the motion, all in favor? Oh, Councilman Martin?
I'm sorry, you're recessing? I didn't hear you.
Yes, to continue it till 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
And the petitioner doesn't object to that, and constructive approval won't be triggered?
Council Kelly, could you just speak into the microphone? I want to make sure everyone heard you.
Would provide the continuance so that we don't trigger any constructive approval.
Council Kelty. Council Sasslaw.
And I did want to thank my colleagues for that. I thought that was good discussion. Obviously, this petition has kind of gotten the crosshairs, litmus test, whatever you want to say, but I do appreciate this discussion. I think it was good, and I think that'll help this council move forward. So thank you for that.
I apologize. I forgot where I was, but it was on the motion. Any opposed? Excuse me, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. We'll now move to reports of committees. We'll start first with the Public Services Committee. Public Services Chairman Turco.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight we met with discussion about stream and pond cleanup throughout, river stream and pond cleanup throughout the city of Peabody, as well as culverts and choke points, potential choke points. Present were 10 of the 11 councilors. I believe Council Sasslaw may have come in at the tail end of the meeting. Some great discussion. We had Mr. Labossiere, resident Mr. Lee Coddens of Linfield Street, Mr. George Soteropoulos of Quail Road, Stuart Lazaris from the Conservation Commission, all speak about potential issues and potential solutions. I think it put the council all on the same page to bring light to the situation, or additional light. Council Manning Martin had mentioned a possible abutter notification of potential work in an area so that abutters may be able to reach out directly to the city if perhaps we missed them and they do have an issue that they'd like addressed while we're in the area. She also mentioned, for lack of the proper terminology, a trash fence, which would prevent trash from entering into streams and brooks that could be cleared at specific times, which I think the council seemed to be in favor of. Council McGinn directly asked Mr. Labossiere about a comprehensive plan moving forward about how we address this, and that was the most important question of the night. And I think we came to some resolution on that. Council Melville had some great information about Strongwater Brook and issues he's faced there. So I thank you all for that discussion. Ultimately, there were no motions made during the meeting. We're going to keep that in committee. My intention is to meet out to speak to Mayor Betancourt early next week, as well as Stuart Lazaris, Bob Labossiere, and form a small working committee to come up with a plan for the future. So again, thank you all for your comments during the subcommittee meeting.
Thank you, Chairman Turco. It was a great meeting you held tonight. I really appreciate it. We'll now move to reports of the committee. The Finance Committee. Now ask Finance Chairman McGinn to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Finance Committee, the PBC City Council met earlier this evening. Present for the committee were Councilors Manning Martin, Rossignol, Turco, and myself as chair. Also present were Councilors Welton, Matsoulis, Charest, Sasslaw, and Melville. There was one item on the agenda, transfer of funds, CPC historic building documents, $19,500. The rationale for the transfer request was explained to the committee by Director of Finance, Mr. Gingras. Upon that, there was one motion. Councilor Gould, as follows. Move to approve transfer request from account number 270-0000333022 in an amount of $19,500 CPC Historic Preservation. 2, account number 270-1811-58563, 2021-000384, an amount of $19,500. 2 CPC Historic Building Department documents. That motion, Mr. President, passed unanimously, and I now bring that same motion to the full council for consideration. So moved.
You've heard the motion from Finance Chairman McGinn. Any discussion? Councilor Gould.
Thank you, Mr. President. For the record, Mr. Chairman, you didn't list me as an attendee on the subcommittee. If you would please correct that for the record.
I'm sorry, Councilor Gould, that was an oversight on my part, but I most certainly did credit you for making the motion. So, Councilor Gould, if the record could reflect, Councilor Gould was in attendance as a member of the committee tonight. Thank you.
On the motion, any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Councilors Gould.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Sasslaw.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Charis.
Yes.
McGinn. Mitsoulas.
Yes.
Turco.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0.
Thank you, Mr. President. That was the only item in the agenda. That's the report of committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Finance Chairman McGinn. We'll now move to motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Gould.
No motions, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Gould. Councilor Manning Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Under suspension of the rules, motion received. Item 7A, communication from His Honor the Mayor, the Department of Housing and Community Development, Chapter 40B, subsidized housing inventory for the city. Motion to receive. I also like to commend a few people with respect to that. The Community Development, Kurt Bellavance and Stacy Burnson did a phenomenal job getting that housing production plan in order. I want to commend my colleagues for moving in approving that housing production plan, and also commend the mayor and the members of the ZBA for their work with the friendly 40B on Farm Ave that is now in our inventory. And all of these things happening now is really good news. We have 10.1% of our SHI, our subsidized housing inventory, and also with the approval of the HPP and the work that the ZBA and the mayor have done, we've our number now is 0.5 as opposed to 2%. We needed 0.5%, which was 111 units to get us into safe harbor, in the arena of safe harbor, and we are there. So there's a lot of work that's been done, and I commend everybody involved. It really gives us a better standing to control our housing development moving forward. So that's a really big deal, and I commend the mayor, and I appreciate all the work that's been done. So motion to approve, receive communication 7A. So moved.
On the motion, Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Council Manning Martin. I hope you don't mind. I thought we were going to may possibly refer this somewhere, but I don't have an issue with that. I just wanted...
I certainly can.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to make note, because it was the only thing I wanted to mention, that there are 6 units, again, that come off the housing inventory this year for the housing rehab program that we no longer have. So, again, to reiterate the importance, as I've done in the past, about re-implementing this housing rehab program. Each year we lose more and more, and we'll be back in the same boat if we don't re-implement the program. So, thank you. And I know you had a motion on the floor. My apologies.
No worries. If I may, through you, Mr. Chairman, it is such an important step. If you feel you wish it to be referred to a subcommittee for more discussion, I'd be happy to refer it to a subcommittee.
You know what? I think it's the first section, through you, Mr. President, to Council Manning Martin. The first section that the mayor submitted as part of that, I would like to refer, and that's the first. I believe it's about 12 pages. So it would be the Department of Housing and Community Development, Chapter 40B, subsidized housing inventory. So just the inventory itself, if we can move that to ICD for discussion. So thank you very much, Counselor.
Sure, sure. I will amend that. We'll send all of 7A to include the mayor's introduction to industrial and community development. So moved.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote.
Thank you, Mr.
Councilor
Chair.
Manning Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 7C, communication from His Honor the Mayor, and refer this matter to Finance. It is the matter of combining the existing skating rink enterprise and golf course enterprise funds into one recreational enterprise. Refer to Finance. So moved.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Manning Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Under suspension of the rules, motion to receive item 8C, communications from the city offices and others regarding the Green International Affiliates, 239 Littleton Road, Suite 3, Westford, regarding the Independence Greenway extension, and refer that as well to Industrial and Community Development. And in doing so, the chair, Councilor Gould, if you could request of Kurt Belvance to get a better map from this Independence Greenway regarding the Greenway extension from Green International's affiliate. For the life of me, I'm looking at it, and does anyone make any sense out of that map? It's supposed to be a great indicator of where this Greenway extension is going, and it doesn't do that. So if you could get a better map and to identify where this is going, I would appreciate it for that meeting.
If I may, on the motion, Mr. President?
Councilor Gould.
Could I ask the clerk for help with that, please? You got what Councilor Manning was talking about. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On suspension of the rules,
Point of order, Councilor Manning Martin.
Yes.
We did not take a vote on that particular motion to refer to ICD.
sorry, I'm really trying to move things along. I apologize.
Same here. On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? Councilor Manning Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My apologies for that. On suspension of the rules, move to receive item 9C, banner request for Care Dimensions, 75 Sylvan Street, Danvers. All papers being in order. So moved.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Manning Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Also under 7C, a banner request from St. Clair of Assisi Catholic Community, 32 Ellsworth Road. Motion to approve. All papers being in order. So moved.
Councilor Manning Martin, I believe you meant 9C, but I just want to, the hearing is going.
Yes,
from-
9C, sorry.
Thank you. Sorry.
There are two banners under one agenda, so.
Understood.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? Councilor Manning Martin.
Mr. Chairman, under suspension of the rules, motion to receive item 9D, utility contractor's license, Champlain Evacuating, Inc., 5 Wenenberg Road, Middleton, Mass. All papers being in order. So moved.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Manning Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That is all.
Thank you, Councilor Manning Martin. Councilor Sasslaw.
Thank you, Council President. No motions, orders, or resolutions tonight.
Thank you, Councilor Sasslaw. Councilor Welton.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive and adopt item 10A. So moved.
On the motion to adopt as advertised. On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Welton.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have two motions this evening. The first is to move to change city ordinance under section 19-81 to designate a parking space directly in front of 95 Lynn Street at location doing business as Rogers Hearing Solution as a handicap accessible parking space, citing the reason that 75% of clients utilizing spaces at 95 Lynn Street are seniors who utilize handicap placards. So moved.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Welton.
Thank you. And just as a point of clarification, I've discussed this with Sergeant Harkins in terms of designated that handicap parking space as such. As a follow-up, I would like to request the Department of Public Services to paint said parking space with all necessary handicap accessible parking designations. So moved.
On the motion, All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Welton.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to change city ordinance, or move to amend city ordinance under section 19-56 to install a crosswalk in each direction at the intersection of Granite Road and Fairview Avenue. So moved.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Welton.
Thank you, Mr. President. As a follow-up, request the Department of Public Services paint said crosswalk and also install yield to pedestrian signage both from a northerly and southerly approach of this intersection. So moved.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Welton.
Thank you, Mr. President. Last, just an update. About 2 months ago, I referred an issue to Public Safety Committee regarding the intersection and traffic mitigation of the intersection of Bartholomew Street and Linfield Street. Just as an update, I've had an opportunity to meet with the mayor's office and also the city engineer, director of public services, and World Tech, the firm that conducted the traffic study, to look at some preliminary options. That will be going back before, with Councilor Sasslaw, will be going back before Public Safety Committee, and then potentially to Committee of the Whole. Just wanted to update everyone that it's in progress and there are some options that I'm sure everyone would like to have the opportunity to weigh in on. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Welton. Councilor Schuss.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to make a co-motion with Councilor Turco to ask DPW to install a berm in front of 4 Mount Pleasant Street. So move.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Schuss.
I'd just like to point in information for Ward 4 residents, especially around James Street Park. Tuesday at 5:30, they are welcome to have a walking tour of the proposed Eco Campus Hub advancements. So that is at 5:30 in front of the park. We'll be meeting this Tuesday. That was just no motion, just a point of information. I also like to ask the city clerk to send a condolence letter on behalf of the councilors to Mary Schultz. Mike has passed away just shortly. Mike had a huge presence in Peabody. Many boards, I'm sure, worked with many candidates here. Mike was a great man, his wife, great woman, great family. So if we could, I'd like to make that as a motion, to condolence to Mary and her family. So move.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? Councilor Schuss. Oh, sorry, it's a vote. Councilor Schuss.
Thank you. And I guess the last, at least, is to welcome back Ms. Kaloji, coming back to our live meetings. I feel whole now. I feel whole. So we missed you, I'm sure, we all, and so welcome back. Thank you, and we appreciate it. So that's all.
Well said, Councilor Schuss. Thank you. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 7B and approve the appointment of Colleen Ruffing, 11 Peterson Road, Peabody, Mass. 01960, to the position of Community Development Authority with a 1-year term to expire December 31st, 2021. So moved.
On the motion, all in favor? Councilor Gould.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Councilor McGinn, for recognizing the appointment. I wish Colleen well. She's going to do a wonderful job helping the city in the Community Development Authority, and she's a strong Peabodyite. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Gould. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. On the motion, because this is something that particularly Councilor Turco likes to keep track of along with myself. This is indeed a replacement for a mayoral appointment to the CDA, just for anybody that's keeping track. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor McGinn. On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. On suspension of the rules, move to receive item 8E and set up a public hearing. So moved.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Council McGinn?
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of Councilor Charest, co-motion with Councilor Charest, to receive item 9B and set up a public hearing, so moved.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Council McGinn?
Thank you, Mr. President. No further motions.
Thank you, Council McGinn. Council Mitsoulas?
I have no motions, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Mitsoulas. Councilor Turco?
Thank you, Mr. President. If you'd like, I can move to receive item 8A and refer to the aggregate industries committee of the whole meeting, co-motion with President O'Neill.
Thank you, Councilor Turco. On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. President. Also, with you, I'd like to move to receive item 8D. And if you don't mind, ask you a brief question on that. I don't know where the work is proposed to take place. It doesn't mention it in the letter where Kinder Morgan has a concern.
Yeah, thank you, Councilor Turco. I did go through it. I was completely panicked thinking they were sticking a pipeline back or attempting to do that, but it is actually a brochure, a safety brochure. That's the proper way to describe it, about people digging safe and calling 811 before you do it. But so it's not something bad.
Thank you, thank you. I read it and I thought there was an implication that there may be work taking place with the pipeline also. So thank you for that. Move to receive co-motion with Councilor O'Neill.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Turco.
Mr. President, under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 9A, junk deals license renewals for 2021, Bill Sale of Music and Fofos, 136 Main Street, Cash Call, 161 Main Street, GameStop number 0664, 300 Andover Street, Mod Haas, 58 Pulaski Street, 4th floor, Building C. So moved.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Turco.
No further motions.
Thank you, Councilor Turco. Councilor Rossignol.
Thank you, Mr. President. No motions this evening. Thank you.
Councilor Melville.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. No motions this evening. I'm sorry, excuse me, Mr. President. One thing I wanted to, we're going to do a legal affairs subcommittee meeting Tuesday, May 25th. We have a number of items on that agenda that evening, so it's not, it could be, I would say, roughly an hour. Could be more. I'll make sure an agenda goes out to the entire council prior to, because there's some discussion about properties that are that we've accumulated over the last year, that either residents would wish to purchase city-owned property or sell property to the city. There's a couple other items within there that I'm assuming other councilors would be interested in, so I'll be sure to get an agenda out. I think we'll plan at 7 o'clock on Tuesday, May 25th. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Melville. I'll be brief. I just wanted to take a moment and thank the following people for working with me to try to get this, Wiggins Auditorium setups so we can have, start having the public back here in this building. And I want to thank Mayor Betancourt, Health Director Sharon Cameron, HR Director Beth O'Donnell, Allison and Colleen from the clerk's office, and Frank Cook and Brian McLaughlin, who keep this place immaculate in setting it up. So I really appreciate it. It's just a start, but it's a good start. And lastly, as a point of information, the Peabody Recreation Department is hosting if I have it right, I would call it a fishing clinic, and it's this Saturday, May 15th. There's 2 sessions, one at 9 o'clock to 10:15, and there's a second one, but that one's already full. So you can register. It's for ages 9 to 14. But even if you're not a fisher person, I don't even know what you call it. Obviously, I need to go and learn. But the cool part is that it's going to be a clinic, and they're going to have a professional bass angler who's got a boat and knows how to do it. So even if you're not 9 to 14, which none of us are, it's good to go and watch and come out on a nice sunny day and watch someone who's a pro and learn. And also, we're going to have our own son of Bob Langley, Andrew Langley, who is the 2020 Mass Angler of the Year. So one of our own youth who's doing good things and learn how to catch fish. So anyways, it's worth coming out on a nice sunny day for a couple hours. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
On the motion, all in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. This meeting is now adjourned.